This is KTM's SuperAdvanture 1290 S model, and it is the most overlooked sport adventure bike, and we're going to do a nose-to-tail review and talk about just why it shouldn't be. This thing is awesome. Coming at ya. KTM is a not-so-small Austrian motorcycle company who just surpassed Harley-Davidson as the number 3 motorcycle producer in the world. So it goes Yamaha number 1, Honda number 2, and KTM number 3. Now obviously most of their sales are in other countries and smaller bikes, India, Malaysia, China. They love these little tiny things. Well, not this tiny thing, but its little brothers all over the world. Gets great gas mileage and super robust machines. So before we get rolling, let's talk about the stats. This is the SuperAdvanture S model. We have 524 pounds wet. Now, yes, this is big, but for the size and the class of motorcycle this is in, that's very lightweight. Then 1,301 cc's of power. This has the V-twin, not exactly coming out of the Super Duke, but definitely its really close cousin. 160 horsepower, 103 foot-pounds of torque. To any of my guys out there, that's a lot. Then you got a 6-gallon tank getting about 43 miles per gallon, and this runs at the bargain basement price of 19,000 American dollars. Now, this machine is modeled off of the Dakar Rally winning super desert bike. That's its big cousin. And KTM has this as an S model. They also have an R model, which is more geared toward off-road, a little bit closer to that Dakar Rally cousin. This thing is meant for streets all day. It is a sport adventure bike. Let's start at the front. The thing that jumps out about this bike first and foremost is going to be the styling. Now, just as a personal note, I ride a lot of different motorcycles. Particularly, I bring a lot of motorcycles home, show my friends and family, and needless to say, even a Whaler's Wonder wanes. Everything gets boring for them. They don't care what I show up with. I could have the hottest Ducati in the world or the brand newest BMW, and they'll just, even my own wife rolls her eyes. But when this thing was in my driveway, my whole family came outside and oohed and ahed, and if that can get their attention, there was people just walking around. Yes, I live in a cul-de-sac, and there was people walking around my street, stopping just to look at this and ask what it is. It's grabby. The attention is crazy. This paint, this matted orange, that insane headlight, which we'll get into detail in a second, just gets people's attention. What is that? Is definitely something I heard quite a bit. The looks are incredible, and again, you gotta think of who it's against. All the Japanese bikes can go kick rocks. This thing fights directly against my favorite Multistrada and that XR from BMW. Let's get into some details in the front. First up, cast wheels. So they're not forged lightweight, but this 19-inch front wheel definitely handles its business. Turn-in is really easy. You get plenty of rubber on each side. Technically, these tires are trail rated, but I wouldn't go so far as to say this is the off-road version. If you want to go bouncing around off some cliffs and rocks, definitely get yourself an R. Then we got Brembo monoblocks. They're okay. It does stop the bike. It definitely does its thing, but me personally, I would like a little bit more bite when I'm coming into a corner. Then moving along, we have this WP electronic suspension. It's pretty great. Fully adjustable with the touch of a button. We're gonna get to the electronics. It is awesome, responsive, excellent front feel. You gotta love it. Then the wind protection on this bike is great. This windscreen, easy up, easy down. There's levers on both sides, so you can twist it with your left hand if you're riding, twist it with your right hand if you're stopped, and if you're really that into it, go ahead and twist it with both hands. This thing, awesome, very well done. You have semi-full fairings on this bike. Most of the adventure bikes, it's kind of this half-faired kind of thing, but the reason for that is this fuel tank actually runs dual cells that go over each side of the bike, kind of hugging the engine and keeping the weight right in front of you, kind of collected. It's got this incredible dual system on the inside, so you never run out of gas, well, until you run out of gas, but it's not like the gas gets stuck on one side and then can't be used, and it always balances itself out. The bladder system, really awesome. KTM, great job. I love the way you put this together. After that, I want to talk about this dashboard. Super futuristic. And I will say, some of the best electronics we've had on a KTM yet. All weekend I've been riding this thing, having a great time, having no issues, but them KTM gremlins still showed up. Me and my poor cameraman are sitting here trying to turn this thing on just to get some shots of the dashboard, and it took a little longer than it should have. For whatever reason, the button either got stuck or wouldn't turn on, or a yellow light started flashing at me. So KTM, best iteration of your electronics yet, but we're still working on some of those little details. Once you get it rolling though, super intuitive. One thumb can take you up and down through the whole menu, go through your rider modes. You get sport, street, rain, and off-road. You have traction control, wheelie control, ABS, and my personal favorite, this thing called MSR. Now that stands for motor slip regulation. Now these machines, as we all know, KTM doesn't sell you the complete beast right away. You actually have to get another package to unlock the quick shifter and the auto blipper. So in the meanwhile, while you're shifting through the gears, that MSR system stops the rear wheel from bouncing around if you happen to dump the clutch coming down through the gears. Very safe, very awesome of KTM to think about us, because when you're slamming down through those gears and you have 100+ foot-pounds of torque, sometimes the back can get unruly on a lesser bike, but not on this thing. After that, you have this really great cubby system up at the front. Now, KTM's dashboard integrates with your phone, so you have a charger and a place to hide your key and your cell phone, all in the front of this bike, easily accessible and completely weather protected. So you can plug your phone in, have all the access through the dashboard, and not have to worry about losing anything because it's right in front of your face. It connects to your phone, your GPS, your audio system, and you can get the calls right to the Bluetooth in your helmet, all from the dashboard. Now, this is a keyless system, so you don't need the key to get into the gas tank and you don't need the key to start the bike. So make sure you don't leave it in your super convenient cubby, because this thing is just begging to be stolen. Please take your stuff with you when you're totally done and you're packing it in for the night. Then, the last thing that I'm just so about is you get this plastic engine guard on the bottom. I mean, it's better than no guard, but KTM, you build Dakar rally winning motorcycles. Please give me a piece of aluminum at least, maybe, right? I think so too. Moving on to the middle. You can't talk about a KTM 1290 with 1290 in the title and not talk about the power plant. This is one of the most wonderful engines on earth. You'll hear it over and over again, and that is because it's true. The only rub with this particular bike is it's Euro 5 compliant, which we all know at this point means hidden horsepower. So this may not have the titanium valves that the Super Duke has, but 160 horsepower out of a 1300cc unit from KTM, you know there's something hidden in there. Chop it up, get that ECU flashed, get the upgrades from KTM, and unlock a lot of this power when you get it. You will be happy when you do. Not that it's bad, you have power for days on this thing. You have torque everywhere, it shoots out from underneath you every time. Sometimes you gotta hold on for dear life, it's all right there. Moving along, the gearbox is great. This doesn't have the auto blipper and quick shifter turned on. Whatever customer ends up buying this bike is gonna have to do that separately. But there's a super light pull on the clutch, and it's super rewarding clicking through those gears. It's like loading a smooth gun. It's like putting a bullet in the chamber every time you switch up through these gears. It's smooth, it's mechanical, it awards you with this little click. It's just great. I love it, very comfortable, and going down through the gears, the same thing. The rear tire doesn't bounce around, and it's super smooth on the way down. This is a very fast revving engine, so the revs build super quick and the gears are super short, which is good and bad because it's fun switching them up and down, but you don't really have that one gear to handle all the twisty roads. You gotta go 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 3, 2, up and down a couple of times. Not the end of the world, just saying to my lazy riders out there, this is not a lazy man's bike. Then you have this really high seat and these really low pegs. The reach to the foot pegs is luxurious. And standing up on this bike takes zero effort. Your legs are practically straight anyway. Very comfortable. The only catch is I'm 6 foot, I have a 34-inch inseam, and even I'm tippy-toed on both sides at a stoplight, or I gotta sag one cheek over to get 1 foot totally flat, which isn't that big of a deal, but to my shorter riders out there, you're definitely gonna have a little bit of a problem keeping this thing balanced. Once you're moving though, you don't even notice it. The height is great, visibility is fantastic. This is very easy to ride fast. I know in the KTM stable they have that Super Duke GT and even the Super Duke, but I gotta say, this is more comfortable, it's just as fast as the GT, and the way the center of gravity is set up, it flicks through the corners so much better. These wide handlebars and the way your position is on this bike, just super relaxed, comfortable, gives you all the confidence in the world. The only rub is, obviously you gotta turn on the extras. Moving on to that booty. Onto the rear end of this bike, super accommodating if you have a passenger. This ESA in the back, this electronic suspension system, is very easy to set up. Right in the dashboard, you can tell it, I got a passenger, I got luggage, and it will automatically set up the rear shock to make sure that you don't lose any of your steering geometry, which is awesome. Gotta love it. Bags, easily to snap on, rear back seat, and the whole luggage rack in the back, awesome, works out fantastic, especially if you're bringing a lot of stuff with you. This is definitely the SuperAdvanture, and you could bring all your stuff with me to go on any adventures. Now, the best part about this particular motorcycle is this chain. It's a Super Duke, it's a KTM, it says right at the beginning, it's ready to race. And this thing, chain drive is where it's at as far as power delivery from the engine directly to the rear wheel. And the best part is, like I said earlier, these gears are a little short. If I own this bike, and I just might, it's that good, would want to change out those rear sprockets, maybe give yourself a little bit taller gearing to enjoy that throttle and that engine a little bit more, and maybe get a little bit higher top speed out of this. I think it can handle it. Does have a center stand, huge fan of those. Easy to store this bike away, keep it out of your way, and angle it around in your garage. Now the rear wheel is a 17-inch wheel. We have a 19 in the front, 17 in the back, and that, as we all know, is code word for lots of options. You can put any kind of sticky road tire you want in the back, and if you gotta have a little bit different in the front, so be it. You wanna be able to put that power down. So a tire that heats up, gets sticky, will do you real good. Not that this is bad, but these are, they're road biased tires, but they still can go off road too. I mean, I don't want to take this off road. It's way too pretty. Check out the paint. This matte orange color really looks incredible. Plus, with the black, everything is matted out. It's cool where it needs to be, and it's flashy where it needs to be, but it still stays real understated. You gotta love it. All my fans out there, truth be told, I love this bike. I think it's great. I would own it myself. The only thing that you gotta do right away is get rid of this exhaust. When you know you have a 1300cc V-twin and it sounds a little lackluster. So we're gonna end on that. I'll start it for you right now, folks. Matty Motorcycle, please like, subscribe, share this video, leave me a comment. If you're in between a Multistrada, an XR, and this bike, I would get rid of the XR, scratch that right off the list, but between this and the Multi, you got your work cut out for you. Versus the V-twin one, maybe I would go with this, but that V4 is coming out soon. KTM, you got your work cut out for you. Let's give it a listen.
This is the best we got.